Welcome back, and straight in the car as we join my first failed attempt at setting a qualifying time for DragonTrail Gardens 2 this week. I got a penalty on my first attempt at a qualifying lap, and I'm trying to come back across the finish line to start another hot lap before the time expires, but I've just missed it. And so even though they extend the clock, they will not let me try to set my 1:30.285 hot lap that I was able to get in practice before the race. I'm also surprised to be here because I wasn't expecting to do this race. The car ended up being well suited for it when I joined my friend So Marvel in a practice race this week and found myself to be not that wanting for pace, so I decided to do the race. But not setting a qualifying time is going to put me at the back of the grid. So this is kind of a throwaway. And like I've said before, you can't just quit out because you'll lose so many points, so I have to go through this whole race 30 minutes worth and maintain my current DR and SR ranking, since our 1:30.285 would have put us in second position on the grid to start. So indeed I do need to go again here because I could get a podium here possibly. But that's not going to happen on this race. And instead, here we are in 19th, wrenching and thrashing the steering wheel in blind rage. So here we go, race one. And with some clever video editing, we're going to cover this one pretty quick. We'll leave the whole shot here, take a glance at our mirror, and boom, we're finished. 13th. Not too bad. Always good to do a practice race, I guess. But I had done a number of practice races already on my own time and didn't really feel the need to do a fourth one. 88 points isn't going to help us at all. So we're going to have to go again. See if we can do it with a little more grace. Get our ducks in a row, maybe. And nope, we find ourselves rushing out of pit lane as we've bottled it again, the same penalty, oddly, trying to maximize our lap time. Again, without weight in the car, the feel of the fuel during the practice qualifying points are a little different. Your braking points, your turn-in points, and if you miss it by a couple millimeters, it's still a penalty. So we're coming around here to try to set our flying lap. Here we go. Around DragonTrail Gardens 2. This is in the reverse, technically. This is a fictional racetrack, unique to Gran Turismo, completely made up. It's a two-tiered racetrack. We have a straight here that goes down underneath kind of the track infield above. There's some buildings and parking up there. If you look at the top right part of the screen where you can see the track map, we're coming up to a polygonal-shaped turn. This is a 4-apex turn. You want to hit each of these 4 apexes, and you ideally want to be taking one huge curve through there to maximize your pace. The Subaru Group 3 is well suited for that. We are in the Group 3 car today. This is the first race we're doing this season in the Group 3. Kind of a winding section here. The curbs can unsettle the car a little bit if you don't hit them just right. They all have kind of their own shape. Some of them are convex, some of them have some sections that are concave a little bit, like in this one. So if you happen to go just a little wide there, it might catch a little bit of rear wheel slip as you get the power down there, but it's certainly not big enough to correct any major errors. This turn-in point's very difficult, again off camber a little bit downhill. This is where I'd been picking up penalties in the previous qualifying attempts. Not this time, although this lap has not been very quick. I've missed a number of apexes, though I am catching the end of the sweeper there quite nicely. And so we're going to come over the line with what looks like a 1:31.1, which is disappointingly much slower than we know we're capable of by at least 8 to 9 tenths. It's a very tough headspace to start a race in when in the initial qualifying you don't perform well. That would have been good enough for either second or third. Ugh, no sense in crying over spilt milk. I'm just going to have to focus more on qualifying in the upcoming races. Fly down the grid, you can see there's another Subaru directly ahead of us, Pasco. It's pretty rare to see in these groups. Someone else racing for Subaru. And directly ahead of us, so this should be interesting. I expect to see a lot of varying 2- and 3-stop strategies in this race. Everybody is required to use the soft, medium, and hard compound. I'm going to start on the mediums, as their pace wasn't that bad compared to the softs. So I'm going to hope to hang with the guys ahead who are already on the softs. Then I'm going to pit lap 7 and do 2 back-to-back 6-lap stints on soft, and then I got to put a hard tire on for 1 lap right there at the end is the way it's going to flush out for me, unless we see some sort of gap that we can use and change our pit strategy, but that's our strategy going in. There go the lights. We're off. Checking our mirrors to see how we're doing on the straight. This Group 3 Subaru, not as underpowered as the Group 4, certainly. We're pulling up, already having to let off a little bit, coming onto the back of Pasco here. I'm going to get a good exit. Now, team orders from Subaru would have definitely been to bump draft here, I guess, but I'm going to go sticking my nose places where it doesn't belong. Just to communicate how aggressive I'm feeling after what transpired in the last race. My plan is to absolutely charge it, and I'm on the mediums right now, and I do not want to lose the slipstream ahead of the cars that are on softs. We will look come lap 6 to see what tires everyone's on in another view of the replay. And actually, everyone around me, everyone in front of me, and the gentleman behind me, they're all on softs. So I'm doing well if I can keep up, and I intend to make a move if I catch anybody. Again, following the thread of just trying to be a little more aggressive and trust my lines and the ability to keep the car from slamming into somebody else, which we'll see as the race goes on if I'm able to do that. Coming down the hill into this right, left, right. The curbs do unsettle the car here if you don't straddle them just right, as you can see there and there. We get the back end to step out a bit, lose the grip, and Molna's going to be able to make it easily up the inside on the penultimate corner, heading into the long sweeping last right-hander. Tuck back into the slipstream. Our friend Defender is coming up behind, and it looks as though he has got a little bit of a run. As I keep checking, though, I can tell he has let off, so we're going to go through here as fast as possible. Although the Aston Martin has sent it a little deep, and coming into the apex, we're going to have to hit the brakes. Somehow Defender doesn't hit me, and we've lost a little more space to the lead group. All of us have. We're going to fast forward here through a few laps, maybe several laps. As not too much happens. We can see someone has gotten... We got totally different people behind us now. I'm not sure where Defender went. He's perhaps pitted already. Maybe he started on hards. We have Captain Gunther looking for a way through, poking around. We're going to see a lot of that. Little switchback move there. Keep the inside again. I'm not losing too much time doing this. I can do this all day. So as long as we're not losing time, I don't mind swapping some positions. Certainly don't want to be behind anybody. I can still see this group up front. I don't want to lose out too much. Only lap 3. A couple cones laying about. Able to dodge those. Keep our top speed up. Touch deep around the first couple curves, but not too bad. Love this corner. Feel very consistent on this corner and fast. I come up on people there with some degree of frequency. Headed down the hill here. We are losing a little bit of time to the front group, but we are on mediums, and the folks in this lobby that are on soft certainly know what they're doing. We're being approached from the rear by an R4M member. That's Ram for money from our friend Steve's group. That was more of a nudge for money, but cha-ching anyway, that he earns himself a place with that move. Wasn't deliberate, just a little tiny bump. Happened to work out in his favor. We're not getting held up. We're catching up to the back of this group, and his slipstream ahead is helping a little bit. So long as I can hang on to it. Getting a little on in this stint of these mediums. There's still plenty of grip, but there's not going to be quite as much grip as there are in the soft tires of the folks in cars ahead. And getting to be about lap 5 is the moment when I would expect these mediums to turn just a little bit scrubbier, just a little less of that carving sharp edge. Now we're going to be taking a look at the other cars. Tires, if you look at the bottom left, you can see that everybody is indeed on soft compound tires. And there's only a 13-second gap, so we've not done too bad to hang with this group. I'm going to check behind and see also Gunther is on the soft tires right now. I have one more lap on mediums, and then I can come in and start running my soft stints. Coming down the hill to the sweeping S's, Gunther's going to outbrake himself a little bit. I'm going to just get by and narrowly miss a T-bone as someone else Our R4M member friend is also off. We're up to P8. Coming around the final sweeping right-hand turn, we've caught the back end of Pasco again, assuming he's going to go into pit lane, and he does for 6 laps on the softs. We have 1 more lap on the mediums. A full rack of racers in the pit lane right now, and the guys that were far ahead are coming out now, so I'm technically running with the front group who has also already pitted. So our strategies are overlapping here a little bit. We're going to try to just stay clean and stay in this group, keep this similar gap ahead and behind, and try to do just a clean final lap on mediums and not disrupt anyone's race up here, because again, we're not really in the same race, me and these cars. I hope to catch them eventually, but not at this point, not yet. 15-second gap to the front, you can see still. And someone went out to do 7 laps on softs, apparently. I'm coming in at the end of lap 7 on the mediums. Looking behind for a gap. I probably should have went with the hards here in hindsight, but I come out on softs, stick to my original strategy, and Pasco's coming up alongside me on the left, right as I exit pit lane. I do not want to give up position. I felt faster before. I am now on fresh, soft tires. I don't want any traffic. I'm going to take a look at his tires, and oh my, he is on hards. So it's really important that we got ahead there. We should be able to walk away from him just through this little section of corners here, just because of the variance in grip on tire. As you can see, we build up a good-sized gap there. So now we have open air. We're on our first soft stint, and we're going to fast forward again. Just try to keep it clean, hit all of our braking points and our entry points, and finally put up some good lap times and see if we can start shaving that gap down from 15 seconds. There's a pivotal moment in the race here. Coming out of pit lane is a racer named Chiron, who's coming out for his 2nd stint, and he's on medium tires right now. I'm on the softs. This is one of those precarious situations where you definitely want to get by, but he was ahead of us in the grid, so he may be quick. But overall, this is not good news. I'm assuming he's going to be out on these mediums for at least another 4, 5, 6 laps. And my softs are going to have more grip. Our tires are about the same age at this point. He will have pitted 1 lap ahead of me, so he's on mediums that are slightly worn, and I'm on softs that are right now just at their grippiest. You can see I'm having very little issue keeping up and not really feeling terribly held up, but I could be sending it through these corners a little more. I could, if his car hadn't been there, I'd probably be the same gap ahead, or maybe even a little bit less. But being that he's in P6 on mediums, he did start on softs, but he's clearly got good pace, and we can just try to hang with him as we actually get that sweeping right-hander at the end wrong that time and lose our slipstream. We've regained it now. Again, feeling very strong in that section of track whenever it's twisting. We're on lap 10, halfway through the race. Very comfortable gap behind. There's no pressure from behind. And we're able right now to just hang with P6. Now we actually have a run on Chiron coming up into the first interchange. Gonna look to the inside, but if I had committed to that move, we were both gonna lose time, so gonna hold up. Tuck back in the slipstream coming down the straight. Does look like we're reeling in P5 a little bit, but the gap's at 16 plus seconds, so we are losing. Coming into the polygonal turn here, Chiron gets it a little wrong. We're going to try it up the inside, leave him space, but the curb unsettles us a bit, and he's able to slot back in as we come out at that turn. And now, having gotten a little off my own line, I'm not able to maintain the same amount of speed that I was carrying, and we kind of go right back to as we were running. But we've both made an error going through that section, and so we have lost at least another 3 or 4 tenths. The gap is up to 17 seconds to the leader, so we're not gaining. At this point, I'm starting to feel like I'm driving okay, but I'm not able to make moves. I'm not quite hitting my points as well as I should be, and I really need to be charging ahead and gaining some ground as opposed to just hanging with. Coming down into this 4 apex corner, we got some battling going on ahead, so I'm going to hang it on the racing line to see what happens, see if I can take an opportunity here. I see one on the outside. I'm going to try something a little crazy, not much room given. Push to the outside a little bit. That's fair play. It's clean racing in my opinion. If I put myself in there and he was ahead and on the inside, it's definitely his corner. But due to getting some dirty tires and being thrown off our line a little bit, we're going to just exceed the track limits there by a slim margin. And I'm going to get a penalty. And the tires are starting to go a little bit, having weathered a couple of off-track excursions. So it's not going great. It's not going bad, but the margins for error at this level of competitiveness are so small. I mean, I've made a number of mistakes here, you can see, but they've been fairly minor. But you can end up 17 seconds behind, 21 seconds behind now. Coming down on our last lap on this stint of softs. This will be one of those recentering laps of just calming down, hitting my points. My tires are worn. I'm not going to be making any moves or gaining any ground now. And what I find sometimes is just doing that, all of a sudden the cars that are on the horizon start to get a little bigger. It being clean and smooth, as they always say, smooth is fast. It's very true. Coming into the pit lane after lap 13, we're going to slap softs on again. Plenty of fuel, no need to refuel during this race. As we come out of the pits looking for traffic, and there is none. So this is a good turn of events. We have open track and fresh soft tires to run around. Just, again, try to keep our head down and be clean, make up as much ground as we can. I'm going to fast forward through a number of laps here. I kind of stopped messing around with those curbs so much as to get the fastest time straddling the curbs is the line. But seeing as how we have to go over 20 laps, it's just a bit of a gamble. Going a little wide there, you can see just dipping the right rear in the red. And it gives us just a tiny little moment, which we were able to catch. Minimize the error. Let's see if I do that same thing with the curbs here, or if I still try to cut them every now and again. Nope, we're going around them. Playing it safe. So we come up the end of lap 15, starting lap 16 over the line. And looking ahead, we can see Chiron has come back out of the pits and now he's on softs. Our softs are warm, his are cold. I've been behind him before, and this time I'm going to commit to making a move if the opportunity arises. Get a good run out here. I do get my nose alongside, and it's about right now that I realize I actually don't know how to make a move here. I never practiced it, and because of that, I'm going to commit a murder. In my panic, I hit the brakes while I turned in, and I lost grip. You don't need to brake there. Malna drives himself off, and we're awarded our 1 second penalty. That should have easily been a 5 to 10 second penalty. And you can see Chiron has been able to come back on track, but he's down 2 behind us now. As we come through another sweeping-ass section, I'm going to be serving my 1 second penalty right around this corner. Started expecting some sort of retaliation if he's able to catch back up. We had given each other good space during the race. Again, that one move where he put me to the outside a little bit was entirely his right to do so and was clean racing as I see it. But what just happened there, I can't imagine he doesn't think was deliberate retaliation. So we serve our penalty and we're able to stay ahead, though the 2 behind us have caught onto our slipstream. Still got fresh tires here. We got at least another 3 laps on softs. Hope to just stay ahead. I'm in P5 right now, but I do have to pit for the hard tire compound yet. Check the tires of those behind us, and Malna is on mediums and Chiron is on soft, so he probably will be catching up. The gap has stayed at 21 seconds, so I feel I did have good race pace here. I just was not able to execute it all cleanly enough. I made simple mistakes losing me time. We've been able to make a small gap behind. It was my intention at this moment, if someone caught me behind, I was going to let them through smoothly. Though Chiron has moved through. on Mauna R6, and will be chasing us down on those fresher soft tires with some amount of vengeance in his visor, I would assume. But at this point for us, we just got to focus, get the head down, lap cleanly and as quickly as possible. We're at that moment on the compound of tire that it transitions from maximizing time gain to minimizing time loss as the tires wear in. Coming around on our final lap on soft tires. Someone's in the pits. We're up to P4 momentarily. Chiron has caught the back of us again, but has a little bit of company back there. Looks like he's able to stay ahead, and they're certainly coming out on a different tire compound than soft, I would guess. Back to the scene of the crime. Out of reach, thankfully. I felt terrible, and I could see him coming behind me, and I knew I was going to have to pit, and I imagined that was just going to make him even more angry, as I would then peel off and wasn't really even part of the same race at the time. Improving in this racing league is always a bit of a yo-yo. You know, I started being more aggressive because I noticed I was losing some time and not taking positions I should have. And that worked for a couple races, and then now it flipped, and we've made an error in being aggressive and badly affected someone else's race. But not fully ruined, as you can tell. Chiron definitely had pace, and so yeah, maybe ruined. It looks like he might be on a podium without my clunky turn 3 a number of laps ago. Just about caught up into the slipstream, and we're going to be peeling off into the pits to put on the hard tire for just one lap. Really big difference in performance between the medium and the hard here. Not quite as much between the medium and the soft, but on the hard, it's just very slippy. Feels like plastic. But we come out in fairly clean air for our last lap, so as long as we can keep it clean, not expecting to gain or lose any more positions. So it looks like P7, which I qualified 9th, but noticed at the start of the race I was in 8th. So perhaps somebody had some connection issues and was dropped from the race, which is something I've noticed has been happening occasionally on some of the other streams. One more last section of turns here if we can keep it clean. And a little bunny hop over the curb. I don't know why I'm messing with that curb on hard tires on the last lap. He's a little slippy, but we're going to be able to come around cleanly on the final sweeping turn to finish in 7th place. And again, feeling like, man, should have been up on the podium myself as well, but not able to put it together. And after 2 races, that was enough for me that day. We'll see what kind of points we get. Hopefully we can improve on one of our scores a little bit. Our low score is a 125. So we'll have to see once the scores are tabulated. Confirmation of the result. Ranked 8th, got 7th, up 2 positions. Fastest driver for Subaru, but only 126 points, so all good for 1 point. Into the lobby. First things first. I must apologize, and I don't use the autofill tab. I type it out. I want him to know I'm very sorry. It's okay, he says. And then I let him know that I missed my braking point, in case he missed that part where I slammed him into a wall. But still, that's okay. And he's an incredibly nice guy. I feel way worse than I already did. He's kindly taken the position that it wasn't deliberate, which I appreciate. Although, of course, he hasn't seen the replay yet, so that might change. Quick look at the standings as they were before the race. We were 3rd for Subaru with 419 points, and after the race, we are 4th for Subaru with 420 points. Boy, what a day. A lot of racing, not a lot of progress. Look at the standings here. We're safely in the top 5. Might be able to get back to P3. Going to try to fend off Apollo Kaz coming up for P4. Looking at the race this upcoming weekend, Nürburgring Nordschleife in Group 4 machinery. Yeehaw. This is going to be a riot. I'm looking forward to this one. I've already got some replays saved of some moves made in practice online this week. Going to be a real hoot. But until next time, thanks so much for joining again. Be well.